anything that helps. Yeah. Yeah, I'll look it up. That's right, mate. Very good.
Whole thing's down, isn't it? Helping each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm amazed to get through.
yeah, when I was up in Kiwi on Wednesday.
I've still got to get there. I'm still trying to get my bearings of the whole place.
I did the foot plate experience.
Did you?
Yeah. So I was foot plate training.
Yeah.
Operating the
Yeah.
the water from the injectors.
Yeah.
Sitting on the fireman's seat against the shovel and the coal.
Yeah.
And the drivers over the other side.
Yeah, just.
And the driver's actually a friend of ours.
Okay. Others got friends.
Yeah,
Places.
yes, yeah. So yeah, I went down to the Giffy Family History Society afterwards,
Yeah.
and I found out when my great started taking up and when he was born, where he was born.
I thought they might have paper cuts.
Yeah. It's always exciting, isn't it, when you can actually sort of stumble across these things. Yeah. Yeah.
I found a little bit of go back.
Is that a 2000?
Better than that, it won't work.
Well, it's 1900. Oh yeah, it's too. Sorry.
The whole thing is really started.
The colour threw me.
But then when I did the workshop with Al, right, and then I started to think, well,
Rail motor.
In New South Wales, mate. Yeah.
Well, I had to buy that because I can remember riding on that.
Yeah.
I've heard about somewhere in the country, we used to go down to Exeter.
It's spectacular. Any extra paper cups were brought today?
No, Cam just went inside.
Or Sutherland.
Just go inside and ask Cam if we've got a spare cup. Sorry? I didn't get the boxes of all that kind of stuff from Paul, unfortunately.
Yes, well, two chocolates, still sitting on the boxes, so we've got it.
You remember I was talking to you about Glenn? Remember when I was talking to you about that RFID stuff at the Redland show? Well, Bob found the manuals online.
Oh, good.
And then and when he pointed into where the manuals were, there was an indication of where the software was. So I went and got that as well.
Yeah.
I haven't had power to light on my bench yet. I've
So
got it all laid out.
you might have the stuff that you need.
So I can do the proof of concept part, but then I've got to see where I can sort small boards.
Yeah, right. Oh.
So he just adjusted it to 1 to 160. So the side, he printed it the faces turned out superb, and the roof, but the sides are appalling. But he said he used a different type of resin, so he's going to try printing it again. But he said, I'll take these intake. It is that tiny.
So the other thing is, if you had a website that's got stuff that's disappeared, go to the thing called the Wayback Machine.
Oh, okay.
It's waybackmachine.com.
Oh, hey, mate.
Yeah.
How are you, mate?
How you going?
All
right.
You getting there slowly?
Get some stuff and start this rail for RFID stuff. I've all found it. And the Wayback Machine seems to have all the websites that have disappeared.
Amazing.
So you go back to the Wayback Machine and you search for the one you want.
What's been news? What's news?
You'll be able to find it.
That would be interesting,
I'm
yeah.
not sure what to explain to somebody. I haven't done that for the last month. So because I had the house painted inside. I painted it, I'm not doing it. Well, that's where my layer is. She said, I'm not doing your garage. So I had to sort of partly dismantle it, lay out and get around all the walls, and now I'm putting it back, and you know, so I'm nearly there.
Good. Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah. What are you doing with regard to your
We've actually, I ended up doing all
you know, your
Jifrok
the codes and so forth now? Because I saw it at the Gold Coast.
Yep.
But you had
There's a web, I've got a
I didn't get a
website up
chance,
now.
have you?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's up and running. It's martystrainshed.com.au. I'll have cards. I was hoping I would have had them today. You can order online. I've got ESU,
all the soundtracks decoders, TCS,
Oh yeah.
and Digitrax. Digitrax, I'm kind of, I don't really have the decoders, it's more the occupancy detection, the signal driver units. .com.au.
It's all one word, was it?
Yeah, all one word.
No. I saw you were showing someone.
So has it got an apostrophe in Nadi?
Sorry?
Apostrophe?
No, because it's a web name, it's just MARTYS
Yeah.
train shed. All one word. .com.au.
I think it's through Warren, but it's not still good.
Sorry? Oh yeah, I spoke to Rhett during the week and yeah.
Yeah, I had a phone call. Well, I was actually sending a message to him just after we had it and inquired from you back.
Yeah. I was speaking with Rhett to see what they were. That's it, yeah, they're up the top on the right hand side of the product.
Okay.
And you should be able to go in the menu with your product and then you.
Okay, yeah. Just coming through.
But I've got the Tsunamis, Blue Nami, and Eco Nami, all the soundtrack speaker range. I've got ESU 21 pin and 8 pin HO decoders, and then all the N-scale. So I've got ESU basically for the N-scale stuff. TCS, I've got their throttle, and their command station, the WOW sound decoders. And Digitrax, I'm just doing the like the occupancy detection, the signal driver units. I'm not doing the decoders, I'm not doing the command stations, throttles or any of that.
You put the sounds on?
Yeah, for ESU. Yeah, for ESU ones I can load the sounds on them, or if not, you get the soundtracks ones already pre-installed.
Yeah, like the most soundtrack.
The Blue Nami is basically a tsunami with Bluetooth. So if you've got friends got an analog layer, you can take your logos around there and it'll run on DC, it'll run on DCC, it'll run on whatever. You just have to download the app on your phone, which is free, and then the DCC system. Yeah, Armadale, yeah. So, and I'll have all the stock there as well.
Alright.
Who wants to go first? Who's on first?
You want to go first?
Who's on first? Who's on second?
What's on second?
What's on second? I don't know. Shortstop, isn't he?
Grey brush, so the grey came through it to give you that weathered look. The bits and pieces, and including the forklift, is in-front models. So I just purchased them. The forklift, that's just a motor off eBay. They call them N20s. You can get them 3, 6, 12 volt, basically any revs per minute. I gear them down with power, just put a resistor in there and drop them down to get the speed that I want. Whether it does any good to them, I don't know, but anyway, it's working. The roof just goes on top. The sign is just printed off the printer, and I glued it on, and I've put a dull coat over it to protect it a little bit. I was going to make a decal, but I said, oh no, I'll give this a go. It's a lot easier. I want it to be a little bit patchy. They're all off the eBay. The end light I made, it's just the lampshade is Titchy Train Group. I fed the LEDs through it, down a 1mm tube, shaped it with the KD coupler pliers, and hooked it all up. Because it's a low relief building, the electrics is underneath, not in the building. Not real pretty, but anyway, that's it.
Okay, who's next? Kim.
And that's the other building that's going to go with it. It's a coal storage building.
Can we move on to the next one? Next one, please. No, next. Next.
No. You're the inspiration for this.
That's the first time anyone's ever said that.
What's it on? Couple of retention?
Yeah. Finding couplers and layer.
Treasurer will probably be the last.
So down at the Redland show, Greg was talking about making some seats for his New South Wales seats. Queensland. And we were talking about the seats that fold backwards and forwards and how the base tilts. And he was telling me it was impossible to do the tilts. And I'm saying, well, Arthur's not going to be happy with that. So I happen to be playing around online and looking at 3D prints. And I actually found one that actually tilts. It's large at this point in time. If you go to page 4, it shows the final setup. So basically, the idea came from him that I thought, well, shit, this has got to work somehow. So I found this 3D print. It is large. And then I thought, well, I've got the layout of all the parts and everything like that. And with the workshop that Al had, I thought, well, maybe I could build this out of styrene. Thanks, Ross, for the ideas. So I printed it. I was hoping to have it together. Unfortunately, printing the last part, I ran out of filament, and the filament I put in shattered, and I could not get it out of the printer in time to rebuild it. So sorry, it's not put together. The inspiration for this, mate, the stuff you talk about and everything like that is awe-inspiring to me, and it's making me want to do this more and more. Thank you.
Yeah, he did the printing for me. It was so big that I had to split the cab ends from the body. And it took 21 hours, I believe, to get just this one printed out. So, yeah, I've got plenty more bits of it sitting in my bag. So if you want to have a closer look, come up to me during one of the breaks, and I'll show you some more of the bits and bobs. Yeah, I'll pass around the cab here. And if you look on the inside, I've got a bit of a control station going on there as well.
How is that printed? Is it a resin printer?
Yeah, resin printer. Not a filament like. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it for me.
Question. Can you do the 1900 in HO?
Yep. So I made the design of 4HO and then So I made the design 4HO and I scaled it up to O scale using the design software I use, which is Blender rather than a CAD software.
So Bob, you're a man or a mouse? Scratch building.
I am doing it.
Squeak.
Anyone else want to tell?
I'll go from here. Somebody may be interesting. Just under the projector, there's some drawings. When it was 15 or 16, someone gave me a full set of QR drawings from the railway office, a photocopy, many years have gone past, and they're deteriorating. So I went to the local photography shop and see what he could do. So he worked on them, reproduced them on photo paper and laminated them, but they're a full set of the diesel and QR railways, different classes in the same railway. So people might be interested just to have a look, or even sometimes someone may be interested in getting dimensions of them if they're making a QR engine, that's all. Just up under the projector.
Right, thank you. Just if you are looking at them, the paper copies are a little bit frail, so please handle them with care. They might tear or something. Yes, Mark.
Just in saying that, one of the bearing companies I used to work with, we handled the bearings that went into the bogies for all the the coal cars and so forth. And we'd send the bogies to the bearings place on Bradkin, that's it. And then we'd supply the bearings to them and they make all the bogies from that. I have got at the Logan Club I have got all the drawings from QR on all the bogies.
Good, you can send them to me, we'll put it up on a OneDrive or something like that, if that's okay.
Yeah, well, if you want, when you come out to our open day, which I'll tell you more about at...
What open day?
He wants us to buy stuff. Okay, anyone else for show and tell? Ross.
Yep. This is not my work in any way, this is, but I thought I'd show it off. It's a QR 2000 rail motor. Someone had actually done the artwork and put it onto, what's the site again? Yeah, Shapeways. And so Kevin Knight, a mate of mine from the 2 Mill Society's actually downloaded it. It turned out it was a Pommy N-Scala had done the artwork, so it was drawn in 1 to 148, so Kevin just reduced it down to 160 and printed it off. He didn't have the normal resin that he normally does his 3D printing with, so the face and the roofs look absolutely superb, but the sides are absolutely dismal. So he said he's reprinted it and it's come up really well now. So that's a 1 to 160 2000 rail motor. Kevin's huge into 2 mil N-scale, 2 mil modelling with English, and I may have persuaded him to dabble in Queensland now.
Kevin, do you have a question?
No.
Okay, if there's no more, then I'll now pass on to Martin, who is going to do a presentation on the N-scale Fremo in the States when he visits. Thank you.
Am I?
I'll give you the mic.
Oh, thank you.
What colour shoelaces you're wearing, mate?
I'm not wearing orange shoes. Okay. So we'll see what we can see. It's a bit, the images are a bit, I just come back, well, a little while back. I met Darren over at the National Convention in Long Beach, and before that we went to Sacramento to the Rail Museum, and before that and then I got up and went to meet all the guys that were setting up, and then said, oh, I just feel so tired. And one of them said, did you spend any time in Salt Lake City before you came up? And I said, no, I just got in the car and came straight up. And he goes, you got altitude sickness, you need to go to Lake City and spend a couple of days there and then come up. And I said, well, if I do that, I'm going to miss out on 2 days of operating. So I thought, no, I'm going to battle through it. I've come all this, let that slow me down. Anyway, Gordy arrived and he turned around and said, oh, come on, we'll go down to Walmart and buy some oxygen. And I said, what? He said, go down to Walmart, we can buy some oxygen. So we went down to Walmart, and sure enough, they sell cans of oxygen. Apparently it's quite common for people to go up there hiking and then sleep or passed out on the trail somewhere, and they've got to give them oxygen. So in Walmart you can buy cans of the oxygen. So I bought a couple of cans of those and kept one in my back pocket, and every now and again when I felt tired I just had a few puffs, and for about 2 days I was fine. You got acclimatise to the altitude and you were fine, but for those first couple of days, all I wanted to do was sleep.
You're now a medical junkie, right?
Yeah, so now I've got to carry cans of oxygen with me all the time. It was oxygen they had in there. That's what it said on the outside of the can. I felt really happy after I had it. So, but anyway.
Even that's legal.
Yeah. So the reason they've got a big engine shed or a big machine shop that the UP used to have up at Evanston, and a big engine facility. And this is where the big boys and all the large, the turbines and all that, this is the reason why they had to have them, was to get up the city, up and over. So the UP used to have a big machine shop here, and basically what they did is they turned around and moved it, name of the place where they moved it to before, but they moved it to another location, and these engine sheds just fell into, or machine shops fell into disrepair.
the local council in Evanston has done them up now like a convention and conference centre. So the roundhouse has been done up, and this is the engine shed facility, the machine shop facility. So basically, Fremo in, there was a whole bunch of guys in the States. They came from, I think it was 14 different states, and Gordy came from Orkney. So they had 2 international people as well there. And we basically set up a large N-scale layout, and we had operating sessions for 4 days. So we got there on Tuesday, the Wednesday was setup day. We got, the layout was up and running and all the faults found by Thursday, and then it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday operating. And at 3 o'clock on Sunday, it was pull everything down and up and get out of Dodge. So this is the first photo on setup day. As you can see, basically everyone came in, got all their modules out, and set them up. There's a few people there. You had to go. So, and other people, like the head industries and the like around this. So if you were running an iron ore train, you'd have to go to the steel mill and then go to one of the steel plants.
Who decided the plan before you got there?
I'll show you the guy by the name of Lee Corkins. There's a group called NEG, the N-Scale Events Group, which I'm a member of, and we're all given individual tasks to do. So one guy was given the task of getting all the module sizes and creating the drawing of what the layout was going to be. I had to do the LocoNet connection, so I had to find out which modules had LocoNet devices, and then obviously we had to wire them up. Where you see the blocks here, that's the end of a zone, so that would be one power district and one LocoNet district, one MSS district, one accessory bus district. So, and then from there to the next one, which is down here, that'll be another district, including that branch line that went out. So we were all given individual tasks to do before the event. And we all met on Discord, so we all meet online, where we can have video conversations and the like. So there was quite a bit of planning involved in getting all this to happen.
Are they multi-levels too?
No, all one deck. All one deck. So once... Sorry?
Any stuff-ups?
Oh yeah, there were lots of stuff-ups. First off, well, I'll get to those when we get to the photos of the electrics. There were a few electrical problems. There were other crews in there as well, so there was the levelling crew. And all they did was go around and make sure all the modules that joined together were all aligned and all clamped properly. Nothing was bolted together. When you had different modules, they were all clamped underneath. I've never seen so many of those vice grip clamps in one place in all my life. Same as Milwaukee toolboxes. I reckon they had every Milwaukee toolbox that was in existence there, because they seem to be the flavour of choice amongst the American Fremo Inn guys for getting all their gear around. So yeah, leaving Omaha Station here, you would go down, around, past this. There's an industry down here and a storage siding, so I wasn't involved with that, so I would keep going. There's a station on this side here, so I would stop again there and have to wait for the dispatcher to tell me to leave. The layout was divided into 3 zones for dispatchers. So once you left the centre and then the west zone, as soon as you left the east, you'd have to change Discord channels on your phone. And I used to have my little earbuds in so I could talk to the dispatcher. So when you would get to the end of your zone, you would have to sign off with that dispatcher and call into the next dispatcher. Then give you instructions on where to go, where to stop, and being as I was an American passenger train, I think the longest I spent was an hour in one siding while I waited for everything else to go past and wait for a gap to go through. So you went down around here, back here. This was Speed Muller's yard in here, Murphy Yard. So the points all through here were done with MQ trains and an iPad, so they were all done electronically. So at each you had an iPad, and that had the track plan. You touch the iPad and your points and routes would change. You're going back for that one. But yes, you basically came down here, the main line. You had another branch line industry down here. I never went down there because, as I said, I was a passenger service. When you got round here, you went down to Palmer. Now, there were 2 stations in these turnarounds here. So when you got to Palmer, when you got down here, you would have to take the left-hand track, so that when you got down to Palmer here, you could actually go down there. If you were in the right-hand road, you would have to back your train all the way back to here to get into the correct road. So you had to know the layout, know which way you were going. So if they said, right, you're going to Circletown, which is this one down here, I'd know I'd have to back here, I have to get into the left-hand lane, left-hand road to get down there. Otherwise, when I get to Palmer, if he was in the right-hand one, there's no points that take you across to the left-hand side there. So I'd have to go down, stop at the station there.
Do you have a plan?
Yes, yeah, I photographed this and had it on my phone. So as I was going round, I had the Discord going on my phone to my earbuds, so I could talk to the dispatcher, and I could see the track plan as well.
So I didn't give you one, just specifically, it's just this one you took the photo of.
Yeah, this one, this battery is this drawing I had on my phone. So, I'm hitting the wrong button. It's that one. So, so once I got down there, I had to head down and around this loop here, and then come back up. Now, because this road here doesn't go down the main line, I would have to go back down around this loop, and then back up, and then I could come out onto the main line. So the way the track was arranged and the likes made you go down virtually every branch line wherever there was a loop. So I'd come back on here and we went round the corner over Gordon Creek, and there was a big trestle bridge there. Around here and across the Diamond Crossing. Now this loop here was there was a branch line there, the Sodor branch line, and one of the guys was the Thomas nut. So all the kids were running Thomas on the branch line. So you had to make sure when you were coming through there that there wasn't a Thomas loco coming up warp factor 6 down the line to T-bone you while you were going across the crossing, which was right in here. So once you'd negotiated that, you hadn't got rammed by anything from Sodor, you could come down here and there was another big station along this side here, LA station. And then you came around here. Now this was all done by the LA N-Scale group, and that was a big steel factory in there, big blast furnace and the likes, and a full model of the blast furnace. So there was a lot of freight running in around this area here. I got caught in this yard again for about another 45 minutes while I had to wait for everything to go past and a gap to get out. Once I got out, I was basically free running down here, round this loop to the next station, which was here. Then my next stop was in this branch line. There was another station there, so I had to come down, turn off that branch line, go to the station, go round the loop, come back on, and then go around here, cross the trestle bridge, and down this branch to the last station, which is about halfway there, and then down around that loop, and I could head back. So to start off over in Omaha here, and go and do that, and then get across there, the quickest I did it when everything was running was 4.5 hours. So you'd go and get a can of Coke while you were there, and something to eat, and then come back and try and get to the other half of the layout. So I think the busiest day I had, I managed to get from one half to the other, back, and over there, and back again. And I started probably about 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was probably 10 o'clock at night before I'd actually finished the run.
How many trains were running on this track at one time?
About 45. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said. When I was running, when they all went to dinner, and I thought, oh shit, if they go to dinner, right, just grab some peat, because that was the other thing. They'd put on the guy running it had put on the food, so we all paid a fee, one for the hall hire and secondly for the food. So one night we had pizzas, next night they had a Mexican mob came in and we had a taco bar, then we had barbecue, and then we had like hamburger night as well. So you just went over and got yourself some food and come back and run. Now, this is just what's in one hall. In the other halls, there was a huge T-track layout and a huge N-track layout. So this was N Fremo in this hall. That was the biggest layout. That was the rent-a-car we had, a horrible Volvo. So this is the T-track layout in the room, in one of the roundhouse meeting rooms. It wasn't the biggest T-track layout that they've ever put together. The biggest one they did was in Portland a number of years ago, which took, I think, about 4.5 hours to do a lap of. But as you can see here, they've got these little red boxes, which are their power districts or their power nodes for the T-track. So in there we've got power managers, PM42s, for each zone. So if you're short out in one zone, it's not bringing the whole layout down, it's just doing that one track in that yard. There'll be a booster in there, obviously voltmeters, and the accessory bus as well, with its own power meters in them.
I'd like to sign on the top. Put hands or objects inside the box.
That's an idea. You can't really see this that well, but one of the layouts, or one of the modules there, it was done by Riley Triggs, who's the publications officer for the NMRA. He had all the NMRA crew here. So Gordy's standing over next to the Mini. That's me in the middle, and there's Michelle Kempemar and Jennifer and a whole bunch of all the NMRA crew are actually there in N-scale, because we've all been scanned by Bernard at Mini Prints. So you can buy a Mini Me if you so desire, or you can buy a big scale Me as well. Oh, I'm enough, is it? It's actually, I did an article in the last NMRA magazine in the States on, like, what can you do? You've been scanned, what can you do with the models? Well, every time I go to the States and I go to operating sessions or layout tours now, I get about 20 mini-me's printed. And I paint them all up, and every time I go around to a layout, someone's layout, I'll put a mini-me on the layout, leave it there and take a photo of it, put it on Facebook and see if they can work out where it is on their layout. Yeah, I've got my arm out actually, so I'll put one with a coupler hanging on the end of it. But yeah, and if you ever get to the Colorado Model Rail Museum, I think there's about 3 of me on that around the place. But and I'm on a whole bunch of layouts in Texas from last year. So there's some more, another shot. So there's another shot of the layout. It's now set up. It hasn't been skirted yet. The event wasn't open to the public, although on the Saturday we did have a bunch of people roll up, locals that were wondering what the hell's going on over there with all these cars and trailers. So they did open it for a few hours on Saturday for the public to come in and have a walk around. There was no charge or anything to the public, and it was rather amazing. One of the guys that walked in was one of the councillors that actually put all the funding together to actually build this or renovate these buildings, and he was quite amazed at the fact that, one, there was this huge layout in there, and secondly, there were silly people that would come all the way from Australia to run on it. And he said to me, how far was it? And I said, well, from my front door to Evanston was 7,721 miles. And he said, what did you do that for? And I said, well, I'm crazy, so, these photos are really not that easy to see here. But that was, over one side of the layout, looking towards Omaha Station, which is in the centre here. You can't really see it from there. That was Speed at his yard there, and you can see the iPad, or you can sort of see there's an iPad here and an iPad right down the other end of his yard. And that used MQ trains, which Speed's a big proponent of. He's put the system together, and it's basically an interface to work with JMRI to automate all your point switching and bits and pieces. What else we got here? That was Clem, that was the guy I set up the LocoNet with, and that was after we finally got the LocoNet connected correctly. So there was a big celebration, and we both went and had a beer after that because there was a bit of a nightmare. Some people had wired their LocoNet connections up back to front, so we had to change a few cables, we had to change wiring in a few modules. The bus wiring wasn't that bad because they've got a device I'll show you in a minute where they can actually change the phase switching coming out of the boosters going into the modules. So if someone's wired their modules the wrong way around and the phases are reversed, it's just a matter of flicking a toggle switch on the command node on the booster. But LocoNet, they didn't have anything like that, so yeah. Here's a picture there of the setup in between. Like I said, there were guys there that had Milwaukee toolboxes, like stacked this high. And I thought, they're great, they are. They've got all the drawers in them and bits and bits. So I come to Australia and I thought, let's have a look at Sydney Tools, how much these Milwaukee... Yeah, I reckon there was probably about $80,000 worth of toolboxes in this place. Because they're not cheap. One stack of them is about $2,000 or $3,000.
Yeah, but Martin, we pay Australia tax.
Well, that's true, that's true. Over there, they're probably, well, as they said to me, you know, like, oh, how much was that? And I said, it was 180 Australian dollars, which would work out to be about $4.50 American, you know. But yeah, there were tons of them there.
Now, not everything was scenic then?
No, a lot of it was, but there was modules there that were just, there was one called 1 mile, and it was a scale 1 mile, and all it was a double track in the desert.
Did they have plans on scenic in these?
Well, it was meant to be in Nevada, so it was, yeah, that was as good as it gets. The Murphy yard that Speed built, Speed, his name is Gert, and he's from Namibia, and he models Namibian railways in an American prototype using American operating parameters. So his layout was Namibia. Well, if you've seen the surface of the moon, that's pretty close to Namibia. It's just rocks and dirt. So his again was just rocks and dirt. But when you got round to like where the steel mill was, that was like sensational. It had all the detail, all the lights, all the bits and pieces in there. So you went from some that was just track straight through to fully scenic areas. Some of the video I've got later on, you can actually see the scenery a bit better than the photos. So mission control. So anybody recognise this bloke here? That's Gordy. That's the president of the NMRA, and he lives on a rock in the middle of the North Sea called Orkney.
Which island?
Burry. Burry Island is where he comes from. It's really funny, he got on the phone to me one day, we talk quite often, about 2 or 3 times a week, and he was on the blower and he said to me, it's a heat wave here at the moment. He was sitting there in a singlet and sweating. I said, yeah, how hot is it? And he goes, it's 23 degrees. And I said, well, it gets to 23 degrees here on the way to 42, you know. Anyway, poor old Gordy doesn't handle the heat that well. When we were in Texas last year for the convention, it was like it didn't drop below about 110 for the whole week that we were there. And he said to me one day, he goes, do you want to get up early and go for a walk tomorrow morning before it gets hot? And I said, I've got to get up to see this. So we got up, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, we walked downstairs in the hotel, he opened the door and it was still about 110 outside. He goes, bloody hell, doesn't it ever get cool here? I said, yeah, in about probably 4 months' time or so, you know. But anyway, this is the JMRI setup here. So you can't really see it on here, but on the right-hand side is the Wi-Fi throttle server. And it's got something like 60-odd throttles connected to it at the moment. And on the left-hand side is the slot monitor, which in other words tells you how many locos are running on that layout at that time. And there was active about 82 locos that were running on the layout at that time. So there's 60 odd throttles and 80 odd locos running on that layout at that particular point in time. And the whole thing was run by a Raspberry Pi, so a little microcomputer. The laptops that you see down the bottom, they were just connected to the Raspberry Pi wirelessly and used as a terminal to talk to the Pi. But the whole actual commands and the actual NMRA that was running the layout was all on a little Raspberry Pi. So there's one of the terms again, going back. Now, you had all sorts of bits and pieces on there. You had there was a couple of bridges that were gauntlet bridges, which I'd never seen before, where you don't need to switch any points. You just come up to the bridge and there's 4 sets of tracks that run across the bridge, one for one direction and one for the other direction. So that stumped me for a while, because I was stopped there and going, where's the points? What do I switch? Until I got told what they were. There's another panoramic shot of the actual building when it was everything was up and running, and there's curtains now all around the layout. So this must have been on the Friday afternoon, because the Saturday morning they opened up to the public and they put curtains all the way around it to make it look like it was kind of semi-professional, and to stop people from ducking underneath between modules, because that proved to be a problem. People would do that, then bump the module and then knock it out of alignment, and then all of a sudden everything starts derailing there. As you know, with N-scale, it's very fine. You know, you can probably bump it if it was HO, but so the line-up crew were going around virtually every hour or so, just checking certain areas, and then we put the curtains up. People stopped going underneath and actually walked around the peninsula.
So was the layout such that you could always walk right around without ducking up?
Yeah, so you could, and it was good exercise. Yeah, basically, yeah, because you'd get over there and go, I've got to get that means I've got to walk all the way down here, all the way down that peninsula, and come up the peninsulas in the middle. So a lot of people would be going, oh, no one's looking, duck under the layout.
That sounds like IKEA, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You got to be careful at IKEA that I haven't been there. Because I don't know if you've all been to IKEA, obviously, and they've got those arrows that shine from the lights above. Well, when I'm bored at IKEA, I like to go in there and move the arrows so they point in different directions. I think I've had people going in circles in IKEA and never getting out for about a day and a half. So anyway, so that's a warning. If you ever go to IKEA, don't trust those arrows if I've been there.
Particularly if Marty's best been there.
Sorry?
Particularly if you've just been there.
Yeah, if I've been there, yeah, don't. They won't be right. So there's a picture there again of Speed on his yard, and that's Michelle Kempemar, who's, actually, sorry, not Speed. That's John Doring, one of the directors in the NMRA, and that's Michelle Kempemar, who's the director of the Colorado Model Rail Museum. And she actually had a couple of modules over in the back here, which actually had the Colorado Model Rail Museum on there, and the layout of it. The guy in the red there, that's Lee. He was the head honcho. He's the one we blamed for this, because it was his idea to put all this together. How it all started was back in 2020 when, you know, someone ate some bat soup in China and it caused a national toilet paper shortage around the world. Everything was cancelled, so all the N-scale convention was cancelled, all the shows, the NMRA convention was cancelled. So these guys said, you know, what are we going to do? We've got a whole year of nothing. So they held the first of these events in Evanston. So they came up here, set it all up, and then from that they decided every 3 years after that they would do the same thing. So in 2027 it's happening again. And each year it just gets bigger. So this year it was 1,600 lineal feet of layout. They reckon they'll be up to 2,200 lineal feet of layout by the time it gets to 2027. with all the people that decided to make modules and joined the mirth and merriment. So that was 1 mile. So it starts around the corner here, and it is a scale 1 mile of passing loop, basically. And it's supposed to represent the Nevada coming up from Caliente up into Salt Lake City. And of course, Nevada, again, it's like the surface of the moon. So there wasn't any buildings or any scenery there. It was just dust, dirt, and a couple of cactuses. But yeah, I spent probably about half an hour or so in there, again being shoved into one siding, waiting for a 140 car ore train to go past. Again, that's Lee Corkins again with John Doring and Michelle. So this was outside the building, so that was the engine shed, and over there was the roundhouse. So the roundhouse, half of the roundhouse had all been fitted out as a convention centre, so it had meeting rooms in there, it was air conditioned and all the rest of it. The engine or the machine shop here, that wasn't air conditioned, but all the windows here opened. So all we did is in the morning, I popped all the windows open and you had a lovely breeze going through there all day. In fact, we had to shut the doors sometimes because the breeze got that big that if you were bringing a rake of auto racks around past that doorway, they all ended up on their side because the wind would blow through and all the cars would just tip straight over. So they had to shut a few of the doors on the ends in the afternoon. And of course, we had the UP main line running right behind us. So if you got sick of looking at little trains, you could go out there and sit down and watch some big ones go past. And it was probably every 15 minutes there was a train going past, and just behind here was the can't remember the name of it now, the Gatex tank car factory. So they were bringing rakes of tank cars out and assembling them into trains and then taking them off and then putting ones that were being repaired back in. So there was lots of shunting happening out here. That building is the old power station and it's currently under renovation. So the next one's planned for 2027. Hopefully that will actually be restored and we'll probably be using that as well. Now, you had to go around doing wiring under this layout, so you were up, down on your knees all the time. These were a godsend. They're little chairs that are mounted on roller casters that you could wheel straight underneath the layout and do whatever work you had to do there and then wheel yourself off to the next. When I saw them unloading those, I thought, oh, this is getting a bit over the top. After about an hour and a half of getting on my knees and crawling around plugging cables in, I realised, no, these are a godsend, you know. So, but they virtually had a trailer full of them. So these were one of the nodes that they used, or the booster stations. And I don't know if you can see, but can anybody see what type of booster that one is? So that's a lens booster. So they had lens, TCS, Digitrax and NCE boosters, a mixture of all of them. Now, the big problem with those is even though they've got the same power supplies running them, is the output voltage would be slightly different. So they made a trimmer board that would take the output of the booster and you could adjust it, and there'd be a set of voltmeters in there that you could look at and adjust the voltage. Because what would happen is you'd go from one power district to another and there might be a 2 or 3 volt difference and it would trip the circuit breakers. So this one's got a circuit breaker built into it, but they also had, where is it? These Milwaukee boxes again with 4 circuit breakers in them. And they would be, like wherever there was a node, if there was a yard above that, they would have maybe 3 or 4 of these boxes with individual breakers for each track in the yard. So if you did have a problem, it didn't bring the whole yard down, just took that road out. So there were, I'm not joking, I reckon there had to be 50 or 60 of those boxes with the circuit breakers set up inside them. Whoop, did I hit the wrong button? Yeah, I did. So back here, that was a lens booster in there. This one here is an NCE booster. Put that there. So yeah, there's an NCE booster in this guy here, which, and then we got another one here. There's a Digitrax booster on its own. So they had a mixture of boosters, and like I said, each one of them would put out slightly different voltage, so they'd all have a trimmer board on there as well. The other thing they had was these circuit boards, which I've got the artwork. Well, I've actually got a whole bunch of these boards I brought back with me. But they were what they called the Y board. Now, this would feed into the booster, this side. That would feed to the module on the right, and that would feed to the module on the left, or either. Here you had your phase reversal switches. So these were, wherever we had a booster or a feed coming up into the layout, it would go into one of these and then feed out either end into the layout itself. And we could swap the phase around so that we kept it all in phase as we went around the actual layout. So I met the guy that actually did all the electronics for the setup, and he's given me all the circuit boards so I can populate and make them here, because there's a plan coming. There's one of their boards with and they're all done with Anderson plugs to plug. So it's a common wiring for both the MCC, LocoNet, the accessory bus, and the power districts. They're all done to a common wiring method. And then, of course, there was Sunday that was pack-up day. So that was Speed's trailer, and this is the thing that I always find is bad here. That trailer cost him $3,000. You know, a similar trailer over here would cost us about 10 grand. You know, I mean, it's
14.
You know. Yeah, you know, like you know, it's just, and these guys, they had tons of these trailers out there, and of course you need some sort of vehicle to pull it. So that was Speed's brand new Chevy Silverado, and there's a funny story with this. When we finished at Evanston, we went to Sacramento for the anniversary of the NMRA History of Scale Model Railroad exhibit there, and Speed and a few of the others ended up going down to Tehachapi and a few other places. Then we all met in Long Beach, and they set part of the Fremo in layout up at Long Beach for us to run on. Speed parked his car out in the street, and Long Beach has a lot of homeless people at the moment. And these vehicles at the back have power points in them, and there's an inverter in there. So when he came out to get his car to bring it in to load the layout up on pack-up day, he walked around the back, and there was about half a dozen homeless people had all set up camp between the back of his ute and the trailer, and they all had a power board there with all these mobile phones plugged into it, charging them up, and their iPads and all the rest of it. So he said, it's lucky I walked around and had a look, because I was about to just jump in the truck, start it up and drive off. He said, I would have had half these homeless people all clamber into the back of the tailgate. So that was a bit of a funny story. Yeah. So packing up on pack-up day, it's the usual thing at most shows. There's about 5 people that pack up, and there's about 50 people that stand there telling them how to pack up. And it's exactly the same in America as it is here. So that was, yeah, pack-up days. He says, Gordy's over here. We've got the modules. They all bolt together, so they basically come off, face each other, and then you've got bolts in the top that put them all together. It took probably about 3 hours for that whole thing to be packed up and all put in trailers, but a day and a half to set it up. So it was quite different. As again, loading in the back of his trailer. There's Michelle there. Now, this was the funny thing. He wouldn't let anybody put stuff in the back of his trailer. He was putting it in there. I've never seen so many of these tie-down straps used in all my life. I reckon there was probably about 70 in the back of his trailer. Yet the next guy that came in with his trailer, when he loaded it up, he laid all the modules flat on the ground, then put a sheet of plywood on the top of them, laid more modules flat on the ground, then another sheet of plywood, and had one tie-down strap holding the whole thing down. And we all looked at that and then looked at Speed and said, I think you can improve the way yours is stacked, you know, because this took about 3 hours to put together. But anyway, well, that was the end of the slide, so, oh, it's a bit early. Well, I started early. So, any questions or, yeah?
Can you just tell me the basic dimensions and operating system for the Fremo?
For the Fremo N, well, the operating system was Fremo N standard. There wasn't one DCC system. There was 32 boosters in total, comprising of lens, NCE, Digitrax, and I think there were a couple of TCS boosters there as well. The layout dimensions itself, I should have written these down, was round about 270 feet by about 140 feet. That was the dimensions of the hall. But as you saw by the track plan, it didn't go around the room, it went all over the place inside. So it went down to one track main line in some places. So it was one track main line up to, you know, a multitude. When you went through Omaha stations, it was 9 roads wide. But your main line was generally 2 double main line, but there was 3 or 4 sections where it went down to single line. So that's where the bottlenecks all started to happen, obviously.
You're talking about the train being blown over by the wind. That happened down on the train shows the workshop museum one year. There was a circus train coming around. Of course, the wind was blowing like mad in the door, and next thing was on the elephants and
yeah, it was funny because I come down that side and everybody was like this around there. And I'm going, what are they doing? And then I saw, oh yeah, one guy lifted his arm up and the wind blew and these auto racks all just went boom, 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 boom. And of course, one auto rack goes, it's like a set of dominoes, so they all go. So, yeah.
It's funny when you talk about how to pack up and how people, their methods of packing up. Dave Lowe from the NMRA in Canberra, he loads his, I don't know if anyone has ever seen his layout of S-Bank, but it was a great layout. He's a superb modeller. And he just puts it on the back of the trailer and he buys these big rolls of glad wrap and he just
wraps it all in the
thing onto the trailer and off you go.
Yep. Well, when we got to Long Beach, there was Speed, Cameron, there was 4 guys from the Fremo came down to Long Beach and they set their modules up at Long Beach, and it was basically a point-to-point layout with one set of turning loops. So I think Darren had a good run on it, you had a good run on it for a few nights. We were there probably till 1 in the morning. Because it was good, there was a bar down there and you could go and run trains. What more did you want? In fact, there's actually, I've got photos in another folder of Speed, and he's actually got the security guards that were looking after the show. They're all out running trains on the layout. So he even had the security guard staff out there running trains. So. How did the dispatchers monitor that? Okay, so what we did is they got that big plan, divided it up into the 3 zones, and then we got that laminated. And they had a set of whiteboard markers of different colours. So as you came into that zone and you would radio to them, they would put a red line and go, that's, you know, that train, Martin's El Capitan set, or whatever. And then as you left, they could wipe it out. So they could, as the train moved into different blocks, they could just manually wipe it out and draw a red line where it was. So it was a very hydraulic way of doing it, but it worked. Yeah.
Buddy, did you try and convince the dispatcher that because you were Australian you should have had passenger priority?
Well, one of the dispatchers was Gordy, and I pulled in and he gave me this route that went for about, well, basically took me straight through his whole region. And I said to him, sorry, we're having radio failure here, can you repeat that after he'd said it? So for the next hour and a half, I think I spent in a siding. So he shoved me into a siding and then left me there. He said, you might as well go and get dinner because you're going to be there for a while now. Yeah, that's what happens.
Does that mean everyone's just turned up with different handsets and they worked in this system?
We basically used Wi-Fi for all the throttles. So you either had, there was a lot of proto throttles there, guys running the proto throttle system. There was a whole bunch of guys there with TCS Wi-Fi throttles and a whole bucket of mobile phones. So there wasn't any plug-in throttles, everything was wireless. So you either had a mobile phone, a proto throttle, a TCS Wi-Fi throttle, or a ESU Wi-Fi throttle.
Okay, so and that all goes to...
That all went to that little Raspberry Pi, and it monitored all of those. It monitored up to, I think the most they got it to was about 90 throttles connected into it, all working at the same time.
Right, and people had consisted their locos and all this sort of stuff.
Yep, so I had, well, I've got a Santa Fe F7 ABB set. It always runs as a consist, never gets broken up. So it's set up inside the decoders to be a consist address 17. So, but others there were building consists on their phones at the same time. So they would have their engine driver throttle on their mobile phone and they would build their consist of 3 or 4 locos. One of the chaps that was there, Ed McNamara, it was his birthday on the Saturday and he turned 78. So he ran a boxcar train with 78 cars, one for each year, and 7 locos. So we had 3, 2 and 2 set up as the motive power for it, for one for each decade. So, and they were all consisted on the throttle. So you had everything from consisting in the decoders themselves to consisting on the throttles when it ran round. And the system handled it without any trouble.
The most complicated thing is just the electronics.
Oh.
And you said there's 4 different systems operating this.
Yep.
And are they all covered by standards for the Fremo?
Yeah, they're all used in the Fremo. So they use MSS, which is a modular signalling system, and that all the signalling worked on them. So you had to look at the signals as you were going around. If you had a red ahead of you, well, you got to stop. If you had an orange, you better have a look what's happening in the next block, because there's either something coming towards you or something's going away from you in there. So all the signalling system was active and worked in real life. And some of it was semaphore and some of it was lights. And some of it was that weird American ones where they have a round thing with all different lights and different patterns, you know. I always said to them, I said, look, mate, I'm from Australia, we just have red and green, you know. Yeah.
So the brewery is 10 volts and how many amps in different sections? That must have been fairly integrated.
You had 110 volt ran to each of the booster sections under the layout. There were 32 of those, and each of those boosters with a minimum of 5 amps. And then they had circuit breakers that went off to, you know, if it was like Bob had in the Omaha yard, like I said, it's 9 roads wide, so he had 9 circuit breakers underneath there. So if you shorted out on one road, it didn't stop anybody else from going through, or, you know.
And this is just the Fremo standard.
Yep.
T will be different.
Yep.
HO thing.
Yep. So in the roundhouse they had the T track. I never went over there. I never got to run on it. I saw it running once, And then outside in the roundhouse in another room, they had a big N track, which was the old N scale format that they used to run. Now it's Fremo N seems to be the big one that everyone's doing. We did that, and I put photos and videos, did a live stream from there, and from that we've got, I think, about 5 people now that are interested in building Fremo modules. So Brad has got all of the track design, and one of them is Gary, and as we all know, Gary's got all this woodworking machinery, and when he gets back from Africa, we're going to talk to him about making up kits for Fremo modules. And there's going to be a whole bunch of us putting a Fremo N-scale layout together. So it won't be one club or one organisation, it'll be like they do. Just a group of guys get together and set the layout up. Get all the drawing, and being as one person's going to make all of the modules, we can have those in AutoCAD, and then we can assemble a layout for what we're going to do. And our plan is to do like Brisbane train show, Sydney train show, Melbourne train show, and try and build it into something ridiculous like that. You know? Anyway. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Don't talk about that. Oh, you want the microphone?
Okay, thanks. How we're running a bit early. I'll get the formalities of the president gathering out of the way. I'll just put this on if I can. No, I can't. I don't know how. Oh, there we go. Right. So there's no divisional report because, as you're aware, Paul is overseas. There's no ARC report. Duncan, unfortunately, was called away late this morning for an issue at his work site, and therefore couldn't be here to give any presentations or any information about what's going on with the ARC. The only things I can do is just go through what I know. Just a reminder, I had someone ask me about shirts. The next batch, I've just found the date here. The next batch will be sent out on the 16th of November. So if you've ordered shirts and you haven't got them, they should be here on the 16th of November. The NMRA convention next year, we're still in the planning process. There's been no date or location sorted. That hopefully will happen very soon after Paul and the others get back from overseas. AP report. Arthur, you got anything for AP? Nothing? Okay, SIGs, is anyone here from SIGs? No? Definitely silence? Okay, 100% clubs, action. Anything to bring up?
No, nothing in particular.
No? Okay, Ipswich. No one here from Ipswich? Nope. Gladstone, no, I don't think. Logan, anything from Logan?
Oh, just the normal. October 27, we've got our open day table sales going. Or at last report, everything was all go. Everything was full steam ahead. All the tables are being filled up. Come out for a wonderful day, see the trains running, and spend your money on the trains.
That's what he wants you to spend money. You got your hand up, Kev?
Yeah, did you want to mention what we've been talking about with the taxation office?
Oh, I'll bring that up in a sec, yep. Minute from Miniature Train Club, that's mine. Nothing to report at this point in time. We're just in the middle of trying to get our club room up and running. We've got 2 more layouts to get up and running. We'll be there. We have cancelled, not actually cancelled, but we're going to take down the dates for first and fourth Saturday. First and fourth Saturday off our webpage. We weren't getting anyone coming, so what we're going to do in that regard is our official operating will be every Wednesday, second and third Sunday at this point. And if anyone wants to come along outside those times, please contact a club member or myself and we can organise special visits. Members will be going in when they want to, so that'll be the official thing for that. Anyone from Northern Rivers? Toowoomba? Wide Bay? No. Okay. Coming up events, as you know, 19th and 20th of next month, there'll be no gathering as such. It'll be the Lismore trip. So if you're booked on the Lismore trip, that'll be happening then.
How many are going?
I'll need to get those numbers from Paul. Paul's looking after that. Craig? Oh, right. Okay, that's very good. Craig's going, everybody, so just so you know. Will the XPT be running down there, Paul?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Is he coming back?
November, just remember the 16th and 17th of November is the New England Convention at Armidale. I believe early birds close about the 25th of October. So if you haven't booked, get in and book it. It is going ahead, even though Warren is not well. But Chris has taken over the organisation of that, and so the convention is going ahead, and hopefully will be a good time. From me, I've got a couple of things. As you know, I'm the membership officer for the NMRA. I'd like to remind everyone who has not given me their date of birth, please do so. A lot of people kind of think, you know, it's going to take away, have your identity pinched. Your date of birth is in so many different places, it's not funny. It's not given out. I'm the only one that sees the date of birth, but I do need it to calculate the age bracket. And what happens is I've had members like, for instance, join 20 years ago, their age bracket was 40 to 49, they're now in the 60 to 69, but I don't know that because it didn't automatically update. The new formula I now have will update that, so that's the only reason I need your date of birth. So if you haven't given it, please do. Send it to membership@nmra.org.au and I can get that organised. Now, another thing has come up for those involved in train clubs in particular. Please go and talk to your financial people. Apparently, the new laws that have come out require us to at least provide a self-assessment for the taxation department. We are not included in sporting or gambling groups. We are actually isolated from those, and we are required to at least give up a self-assessment of what your yearly income and expenditures are, towards the idea that you may or may not need to pay tax. So please be aware of it, and you need to do it before the end of October. So talk to your treasurers, talk to your auditors or financial people that you have at your club, and have that organised. Okay? So anything else officially anyone wants to bring up?
Just Chris Estrich sent out an email if you've registered for the New England Model Railway Convention, and he just mentioned that if somebody here has registered and they haven't got the email, just let them know.
Yep. Yeah, no, okay. We'll send out an email to all of Division 1 in the next couple of days apologising for the Zoom meeting, which is going to be on YouTube if you're after that. Also, I'll put in things like that. I'll give a link for Chris so that if people want to register for the convention in Armidale. It is worth going, so if you haven't got in, get in and get it. But also, book your accommodation because it's fast disappearing, because there are a lot of people going. Okay, it is now just 5 to 1, we're a little bit early, so we'll break for lunch. Come back at 1:40, so please have a lunch, enjoy the comradeship, go and have a look at Darren's fine layout in there, and we'll see you back here at 20 to 2. Thank you very much.
I did.
So MSS, is that a system to run signals on modular layout? So it does exist and can be done?
Yep, it can be done. And that's what we'll probably end up using.
So is there a web page for it?
I'll find it. We'll give it to you.
Thank you, sir.
But we're going to start building some in-scale pre-made here.
Yeah, I get it.
Get a few people in.
We've got the Victorian Club's old layout.
Yeah.
And someone was asking, can we put signals on it?
Yeah.
I started thinking about it and thinking that's pretty hard. But if there is a way of doing it,
with MSS, well, that's what it was designed for, was a modular layout. And the other one to use is empty trains. You can use Wi-Fi on that as well.
And that's the only bit of information.
I need to do some research.
Yeah, so that's what's key here. Yeah. But yeah, but they're the three that they had running there. MSS, the old accessory bus on the booster, and Loconet.
And the whole thing on one Raspberry Pi.
All on one Raspberry Pi. Yeah. That was the JMR instance running on there. So that was plugged into that big monitor. And then,
amazing. The other thing I was going to ask you, all those different people, how did the tempers go?
Good.
So there were no real... That's brilliant.
Everybody got on. Yeah.
So it's better than the club.
Yeah. Well, it's not a club. That's probably why not everyone gets on, because it's not. There's a bunch of. It's put together by NEG, which is the End Scale Events Group. But all they do is organise. Like, who's coming? Tell us what modules you're bringing. We'll put the plan together. We'll do the wiring diagram. Then when everyone gets there, the people who are suited to certain items, they get put into those groups. So, and there's like the alignment group, and there was the clamping group, and there was so the alignment group went and adjusted all the legs. The clamping group then came around and clamped everything together, made sure all the track was lined up. And then the Loconet group came through, connected up Loconet, and then the auxiliary and the MSS group came along, plugged in all their cables, and then the track.
So there is in the Fremont standard, there's a standard for the Anderson plugs?
Yeah. For the polarity, which one's which rail and all of that. Yeah, but as you can imagine, people get that ass backwards and the like, so instead of having to change the wiring...
We spent a weekend about 3 weeks ago, and the guys got halfway through changing the polarity of all the bloody modules, and I said, hang on a minute.
Yeah. Well, that's why they got
maybe one plug
Y boards, because then you can just flick the switch and it's now swapped, and that one's swapped that way, and you don't have to change the wiring. So if they've got it set up so when they get home that might be part of their club layout or something like that, it doesn't affect it. You're changing it on the actual feed going to not the actual module itself. But it was a freaking good weekend. One blue, one argument.
That's amazing.
And there's close to 100 people with that.
And they came from all over the states to bring their modules to put it together. How many times a year do they get the opportunity to do it?
Well, individually in little smaller groups, they probably do. There'll be once a month there'll be a meeting somewhere.
In their sort of area.
That's the big one. That's where everybody comes. So in their area, like last weekend, there was a train show on. There was a couple of Fremo groups, and there's some clubs over there that just do Fremo in. So they might have set their club layout up.
Okay.
Like where the LA station was, that's all the LA model railroad guys. Bob's from Omaha, so they were over in that section and everything. So
that's great to have it all together.
And the big one will be Springfield. They have a big setup at Springfield, so they'll have everything up there and the likes. But this is their 3-year, annual.
So how did you get involved?
Well, when I was in Texas, I met, because the OPSI group, they had the Fremo guys set up a layout in Texas for the OPSI. And I ran on that, and I met Lee and all of those there, and then they signed me up to the NEG group, because it's only $10 US to join a year to the NEG group. So I joined in with that, and went to their dinner and a few of their functions, and they have a Zoom meeting online every month, basically. So I started joining that, and I'm talking to them, and I'm the Australian connection, And I said, I'm not really an in-scale modeler. I said, I just started buying in-scale stuff because our club's got an in-scale layout, and I tow the trailer, or I used to tow the trailer, so I figured if I don't buy some in-scale stuff, I'm going to be going to shows and I've nothing to run.
So, what club are you in?
Gold Coast one.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Miniature Train Club Gold Coast, yeah.
Righto.
So, yeah, and you know, I started doing that, and that's the only reason. So now I've got shitloads, but they're all passenger.
Yeah.
So I've got like Amtrak, I've got a Miami auto train one, you know, with all the proper Surfliner cars and the P42, and when I was over, I picked up 2 Amfleet sets of cars and the Siemens Charger and the Siemens Sprinters that run on the northeast corridor.
So now you're going to build yourself a couple of modules.
Yeah.
And
there'll be a station probably, because I'll be running passenger. So one might be a station and an Amtrak loco facility, and passenger car facility. So yeah, it's, you know.
Whenever you see anything from the States, they are just all into it. Like it's one thing to have making some trains and seeing that sort of stuff. But it's when you look underneath and you just go...
Well, it's not only that, you go to the car park, you see all the trailers, you know, and like...
But it's just the population, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the population and the fact that things like trailers are so cheap there.
Yeah.
You know, like you bought a trailer like that trailer was 12 foot by 8 foot wide. And it was $3,000.
Yeah.
You know, like a trailer that size here, you know. Yeah, and that's what I say to them. I said, that's the thing that knocks us back, is one, the population, we've got that many people to do it, and secondly, the cost of, like, they all can't have trailers like that, you know, and so we'll have members that have got to transport it in the back of a car. I was watching a live stream, he was at a show and he was showing us around the layout before they start, and he showed me the application form to the show, and it's got layout area, half an acre. That's what they put down. I said, an application off to the Brisbane train show. Half an acre written on it.
They still give you 6 by 3.
Yeah, exactly. But I was watching one train and it just looked like it's HO passenger train going around. It just looked so prototypical.
Yeah.
I said, oh, what's the radius of the corner? He goes, oh, it's 18 feet radius. So I'm going, 18 feet?
In N scale?
No, this is HO.
Oh, HO, okay.
I said, 18 feet? He goes, yeah, he goes, that's the small ones. So it'll take you over to the big ones. 27 feet and 32 feet radius curves. You know, like, what? You know. And then you look at them when they're setting up, these great big freaking trailers with that, and he's got like a big trailer like that. All his modules live in the trailer, unless they've got a meet somewhere, and they'll go and hire like 3 or 4 basketball courts in a building
to have a meeting,
and just have a weekend of barbecue, running trains. So they all roll up with their modules, set them up on the Friday night, run Saturday, Sunday night, pull them all down, pack it up and go, and they'll sleep in the hall, and you know, and it's just a big, and it's not a club. There's no president, there's no nothing. It's just a group of people, and it's called the Sipping and Switching Society because that's what they do: sip whiskey and switch cars. You know?
Now, why are you so keen to get an N-scale Fremo going?
Because I do it in HO, but HO, it's bigger modules.
Yeah, and just more complicated.
Doing it in scale, we can, even people who've just got a station wagon and haven't got a trailer, they
that's
can
the
still
advantage
make
of
modules and do it in scale.
But if it took off and you had 20 modules, my understanding is you wouldn't be able to go to any train shows because most things are fairly small.
Yeah, but if you a lot of the guys, they build their modules, so they are either part of their own layout or a standalone layout on their own. You know what I mean? Like so, and again, it might be, you know, like they had a meeting last week of Fremo Ends, but it was only 2 of the groups that were on in that setup. Well, they just set up a smaller layout.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you stick it to a standard and everybody makes the modules the same standard, someone can have them in AutoCAD and just join them together and make any combination.
Now, does Duncan want to do this sort of thing?
I don't know what Duncan wants to do.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. Well, he won't speak to me, so I'm persona non grata.
Why?
Oh, I've upset them, I think, but I don't know. He hasn't spoken to me in yonks. At Long Beach, he wouldn't speak to me. It's all to do with the magazine. Because the Australian region's done nothing to get the magazine. He's supposed to have done a survey, he's supposed to have got information for national.
Okay.
So he came along, but he talked to Brad about it. Didn't say anything to me.
Could you please tell Glenn it's nothing personal, but I've got to go.
You got to go? Well, if you got to go, you got to go. Take it easy, Mel.
Thank you.
I can now see why the Blue Army is so good. Because it's the only thing that's going to bring kids in because they'll be able to afford stuff. So, does Blue Army still work with Tsunami 1 and 2?
Yeah.
So it just works like a...
It's a normal DCC decoder with Bluetooth added.
Okay.
So it's exactly the same as a Tsunami. It's exactly the same as any other brand of decoder. It's just it also has the ability...
That capability.
Now, the beauty with it is if you don't need a DCC.
Yes.
If you were just starting in the hobby, just buy a good 12-volt power supply.
Yeah, stick it straight on the track
Off you go.
and use Mum's phone.
Yeah. You got, hey, PK, you got the thing for tonight, haven't you? The link?
Yeah, but didn't have the time. It had 10 till 12.
Well, go into Google. Go into Google and there's a thing called World Clock.
Yeah, but that's me having to do something.
Don't worry, I'll let people ring me up and go, I went on at 10 a.m. and there's no one.
Oh, they're one step worse than I am. So, Bob, you're going to talk about fir grass. I'm familiar with cooch and all that. What's fir grass? And you're going to show us how to make fake fir grass. Give me a black nickel. I better put some collars in the right place. Craig and I are moving our chairs up to the front here.
What the heck?
Oh, yeah.
I thought I would have got more heckling. I was rather quiet.
Oh, after
did I put you to sleep, did I?
After 169 beers yesterday.
Oh, he's a little slow today.
Drank them out. We did. They had no Coronas left. So he had a big headache this morning. Big.
Darren, we were all on Discord last night, and Ray Arnott came on from round the way.
Yeah.
At 1 o'clock, I think we could. They said, where's Craig?
Yep. I left early. I could only handle so much.
Yeah, I
did. And I went, we don't get hurt.
Yeah, I said to him, he's probably got onto a bus and fallen asleep and ended up in a depot somewhere.
It's a wonder.
Yeah.
I didn't half expect to see him when we got to his place this morning. Luckily, he only retired once. I could only put up with so much drinking.
But to go and see how his head is.
My grandmother lived on the farm. The lady next door was Mrs. Grace. I
And then after 8 weeks, it's all down
My sister tried to connect. Has all that knowledge as well.
You've gone home now.
Did you
I don't think anyone's like
I thought this might have been a family trip. I'm married
I wouldn't like to be gentle work done. I was at NMRA one day and one day catch up. Completely locked up. Very smile in South Africa. It's very, very expensive.
So I end up with about 20 projects.
Choice of things like that.
He won't start. That's what about you? And I said, well, you don't want to start. You don't usually start a project. And then when you do start a project, you finish it. Projects that you got all these plans and all these things. And And you had I used to go to the Grand Plan. I saw Final Fantasy. I just want my land.
The trigger point is
President wants to make that
so essentially,
I know it's got to say it, but tax rules, the fellow when he talks about what a sport when he said about his message.
Jim was talking to me, trying to talk to me.
bank interest.
Had a look at different layouts on you. How much to do because I knew what to do.
I think $416 and $700 and something, 25 cents is off.
Everybody
Over $700 is $25. But that eventually means there's no sit, right? So 0 to 680, 416 to 700, running on that $25, 25 cents, that's on everything from 0 to $700.
Just for a minute.
You got a full house now.
I got a full house. There's a couple of ways.
Step process to go through. All things to do with members. And when you wake up, I think it's a sham start.
So you just gradually go to sleep. Then you sleep into the breathing tube. And when you wake up, yes, that's what works. It's all right, you know? It's the local one. This one's been a bit difficult. Having a party on the TV, that's
Someone shorted that was done prior to me buying them. So when I bought them, I thought I didn't think anything about them. And they just
and they must have had it down.
They're married to some lady. She's 38 years.
And then he must have known.
I found out that when I'm putting it on the tray,
It's interesting how you link it. You know Gary Golding. It's less than that, isn't
why is there that much room? You should be able to almost just move the exit back.
Oh, no, I did. I thought it was. No, I just didn't. You were when I retired, at the I would have been there. Oh, it is, yeah. That was what I was.
You're doing very well. As it was, I was bare, got all this shit in there. Imagine if you go and open the windows when you're car, you go and open the yours is mine, it was like a so I'm going to have to work out if Paul's not coming, some other one will bring drinks because you're not the first one to ask about drinks.
Some of the others.
Anyway,
All right.
He's I do like the animations.
What's that?
No, well, I probably won't really play well.
I was thinking about that point the other day, talking about the power of the club. I'm not going to have power on yours, mine's
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got that car, crowbar, I've been thinking about it. I've actually been thinking about
Oh yeah, you're right.
So I'm thinking about, maybe getting rid of this one and keeping that. But then again, after driving up the rim bar,
I was surprised with that because I bought that from the truck originally because I wanted something like 4 I had a 3-year-old orange, 3.6 V8, as they said to me, nothing went up the contract. And I loved it, but it was too low for me. It wasn't so much getting in, it was getting out. I was having a struggle. That's been there, slide in, slide out. The pity was that at the time the previous RAV4 to the current shape was the current one, and I didn't like it. Wouldn't believe it. A month later I bought a new shape came out, which had a bigger boot and everything else. So I would have preferred
it's been reversing these flights and tails. So, on the front and the straight, we'll let the straight car back. Because I'm not buying another car until I finish work, and then I'll buy another. I'll probably buy another Santa. He's coming for money.
It's an assessment, if you like.
Also,
even the meeting, the more I drove, the better it went.
Yeah.
I guarantee it'll rain.
Wash your mouth out.
It is still existing today, but it's actually,
we get 3 more cameras out, guys. At least it's circulating but inside the house and
conversational, I guess that's the place that's what I I reckon
So how long have you been doing that? So this is your unit.
I'm actually talking about that.
No, we had in veterans. Probably about $10,000.
My car park is over here. I walk in through the main entrance.
Yeah, that's where I go in. I go from there to our little house that's south of that.
Walk around, past that,
Already got
and you
the
come
box
out,
there, side by
no,
side.
and you go past,
And
then you go around the back and you come into the BLX.
Yeah, there's a big Macedonian section there. We've got my brother-in-law, his wife,
You had the
there's
BLX
none,
behind
their
that.
sisters together, me, another brother-in-law who's already there, his wife,
And you come over to the BLX. There they put scrap steel into the furnace.
We're all going to the Gold Coast University Hospital.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Naming your bit.
Yeah, no graves, no nothing, no funeral, no nothing. Straight from the healing over point, straight to the hospital.
During that walk,
yeah, to cut you up to see, to teach other doctors.
Well, there's nothing.
All that's here is my mum and dad, me. So Mary's got, they've got a family and wife and all that. It's just us three, with mum and dad sitting on the part of that.
and then I think I told you,
And then
there was one day
I can't get out of it, that's the way Matt do it.
yes, scratching my
The
shoulder.
bloody thing to cover the grave.
And no, whilst I'm looking down this part of my arm,
It's the same with Mary's parents, Mary's from a Jewish background.
when the sun was in the right
So
spot,
their parents would have to raise the Jewish
all
cemetery.
the metal
The graves have to be hand
portion
dug.
was skin.
I know, we can do it by machine.
It's all gone now.
For the amount of money it costs to put you in the ground.
Years ago, I took out funeral insurance, and then I sat down and looked at one of those, and I'm going, we covered for 20,000 each. By the time I got 85, I was going to pay like 68, over 60. And I said, screw this. So I looked at a couple of the other ones, and it was a similar type of story. So I worked out, okay, I put the same amount of money into the amount that's going to go up exponentially as I get older. I get to a point where I can't afford it, and then you get rid of it and you've lost the lot. I thought, well, I mean, I think I had 15,000 in there, I had to lose that, and now I've got an account that I've put the same amount in there. And I only started that like last year, I think, and I've already got nearly 5 grand in there. So by the time I'm 85, I'll have more than enough to cover both of us.
Yep.
As long as nothing happens, it's all good. Yeah, it's pretty good, mate.
Yeah, some of them are.
Oh, they're atrocious.
Alright. Do you have... No, I don't. What's the point now? Oh, that's right. How can I help you?
Any information at all on Lismore's addresses or of layouts or times to visit?
Paul should be back this week sometime, so towards the end of the week he's organising the whole lot, so I've got no clue what the Sorry, Jack?
Can't tell you that, but I can sell you a decoder.
Hey, if you'd changed brands, you've gone off bloody Blue Armies onto ESU.
Oh, no, ESU, TCS, all the soundtracks, Digitracks, but not decoders.
Was your luggage coming home a lot heavier than luggage going over?
Yeah. We've got an ESU decoders in the 21 pin HO and 8 pin HO version 5, and mainly the in-scale ones, because they made all the drop-in boards to replace, like the Atlas Silver Series N-scale and the Gold Series are all coming with speakers already built into the chassis. So all you do is swap the light board out, and you've done DCC with operating marker lights, sound and everything. It's just swapping the board. So I've got ESU for those, TCS for the Wi-Fi throttles and the command station. The new command station's got LCC built into it. So if you buy that, you can plug in any brand of throttle into their system and it will work. So you can plug an NCE throttle in, you can plug a Digitrax throttle in, you can plug any throttle in.
You know offhand what a sound 6-pin NCE costs?
I don't have NCE decoders. Because Gary...
No, sorry, a sound 6-pin ESU.
6-pin?
6-pin.
So the N-scale one?
Well, I guess it's mostly it's for a 73 class.
I don't know because I haven't ordered one of those, but I'll send you an email with the price when I get home.
It was a first run, but I've just bought a new motherboard from Alcidian, which only cost $20.
So you work out where the tip's going, where the speaker's going?
You can see that, yes.
Yeah, because apparently that was
well, the speaker will actually go up in the cab.
Fortunately. If you're changing any of the boards over, the other thing I've got as well is decoder buddies, which are a motherboard with a 21 pin. So you've got all your lighting connections on the board. You've got the resistors all on the board already to do your LEDs, so you can just connect your LED straight to it. You can connect your current keeper, any brand of current keeper, to the board, and then you can plug any 21 pin decoder into it. And you got your speaker connections on it. They're about $21 for replacement motherboard. So I've been doing a heap of whiskey mobs because they've only got an 8-pin plug in them. Pulling them out and putting a decoder buddy in, and then you can plug any 21 pins. And I've got 21 pin Econamis for like $140, which are the soundtracks, cut down versions of Tsunamis. But yeah, those decoder buddy, when you bought the decoder buddy to go in your CJH, wouldn't you? Yeah. And then that way you plug 21 pin decoder in and off you go. But
so how much is your? I bought a few 21 pin sound ESUs, but thinking of getting a cheap one, paying $170 for it, I've actually got the European one and not the American one, which won't give you CV2, 5 and 6.
All my ESUs come from the States. They come from ESU in Colorado. They've moved to Colorado Springs now. So I get them off Jurgen in the States. I've got a website up. You can order, and it's got a shopping cart and all that on it. So the ESU ones I've got listed on there at the moment. Where the internet's so slow.
So I've got 5 pin, 21 pin, so version 5's 21 pin blanks, and I've got 8 pin blanks, and they're 178. And then these ones are all the N scale.
When you say blanks, they're sound but just don't have a sound file.
Yeah, and I'll put the sound file on for you.
Yeah, I've got a lot programmer.
Yeah, well, I've got the lot programmer, and I've also sell a lot programmer. Although that price has got to change because they're selling them to me now without the power packs, because they're 110 volt power packs. And so I've said to Jurgen, well, give me a cheaper price with those removed, and I'll buy them at J-Car. And that way you've got an Australian approved power pack, not a 110 volt.
So what's your 21 pin sound?
So 21 pin sound's 178.
Right.
And then the speakers I've been putting in them are, I don't buy the ones with the speakers because they only have that one round 20mm speaker and it don't bloody fit half of the stuff. So I've got all the soundtrack speakers. So you've got mini cube speakers. Like this guy here, 12 by 5, so 12 long by 5 by 3mm deep. So they're really small, and then there's a larger one. But the ones that I use a lot are these oval ones. Yeah, they sound brilliant. And you can get, like, that guy there will fit. Yeah, that guy there will fit in like an oxygen fuel tank. Nice, you know, nice and easy without any major drums. So I use those. I've got all of those speakers in there as well.
What's your website name?
martystrainshed.com.au. So Marty's Train Shed, all one word, .com.au. And you can send us a message and that from there and the likes. But yeah, at the moment I've got Digitrax, TCS, these are the decoder buddies.
Mine are all ESUs, not that I think the ESU is better or worse than the others, it's just all the same.
Yeah. Well, like I've got Econami, so if you want a cheap sound decoder, the way I say it's cheap, the only thing that's cheap about it is the memory chip is only a third of the memory of what's in it. Everything else is all the same as the Tsunami, so the sound quality you get out of it is exactly the same. It's just limited in sounds that you get out of them. They've just got some generic diesels and generic steams, but they're like $100 and 21 pins. You know, so, and I've actually had a guy from Logan.
Regardless of what sound files they have inbuilt, can you load your own sound files?
Not in the Econamis. They're all fixed, fixed sounds. But I got a gotcha at Logan. He bought a whole bunch because he does British, and they make a British Econami with like the class 66 and 44 logos and all that in there. But I've sold a couple of 21 pin Econamis to a guy and he's put them in 1720 whiskey models. We've pulled the motherboard out of the whiskey models, put a decoder buddy in, and then put that in there. So for about $150 he's had sound in his loco, and he's quite happy with the sound.
So if you're using a decoder buddy, are you pulling the motherboard out?
Yeah, so pull the existing motherboard out.
And they're easily marked as to what goes where?
Yeah, it shows you here, like A1, A2, ground, plus volt, speaker.
Hey, Bob!